Test 1, 2.
Yep, check here.
Well, good evening, folks. Welcome to round 4 of the North American GT2 Monday Night Championship. Coming to you live from Zhuhai in China. Quite a different race from last week, where we were at the little bull ring known as Golden Port. A lot of action here. This is quite a different track here at Zhuhai, and we're expecting some great action here tonight. High potential for rain. But before I go any further, I want to welcome my partner, Brad Maris. Brad, welcome.
Always a pleasure, Al. Hey, how was your 4th, man? Good to be here after our week off, eh?
It was a wonderful 4th of July here in the States. We had a bye week last week, so for both GT2 and GT1, but we're happy to get back in action here at Zhuhai, and we're expecting some more great action here tonight. As qualifying has just gotten underway here. David Pohl will be the first to act.
Yeah, just underway, and look at that, we have a dry track. Who would have thought?
Yeah, we were expecting, there was a chance of rain there in practice, but, you know, there's still a possibility we could see the rain come in here at some point. Currently, track conditions, 89-degree track temp, dry, sunny, 74-degree ambient. So we're looking good for qualifying, that is.
Yeah, I'm sure that this is a bonus to a lot of guys. I know that most of this field probably has some practice in the rain, as there is a high likelihood of it. But I love this track, Al. You know, there's a few little grumblings there in the paddock about this track. I think it's great, a real workman's track. You know, a track is a just get down to business track, and none of the corners are named; they're only numbered. And I like this one. This is a good one. It's going to be a great show for the GT2 guys tonight.
Yeah, I don't mind this track either. I mean, some guys think it's a little boring, but every time we've run here, it's been some good racing all around. So we've only raced here one time previous in GT2. Thiago Canola took the win in the Mosler at the time. This is season 12. Different set of circumstances. Canola and the Porsche 997. He's won the last 2 races. And looking for his 3rd here tonight. But it's going to be a challenge for him, Brad. He's carrying 60 kilograms of success ballast. How do you think that Porsche is going to handle the weight here at Zhuhai?
Yeah, well, we mentioned it last week. Thiago's record with weight doesn't seem to slow him down too much, but eventually that Porsche, already down a little bit on power, will be affected by that weight. And you mentioned the last couple of weeks. We'll probably talk about a little bit more Thiago's victories the last couple of weeks, getting it done with strategy. And hey, there's no reason why he won't want to employ some strategy tonight with that extra weight. Might be a little down on speed.
This last couple corners here at Zhuhai, very critical, especially that final corner heading onto the main straight. You're going to want to carry as much speed as possible on the exit, but you run too high, you're going to get burnt, as that rumble strip and that grass can cause havoc for some guys. We've seen some guys dart across the track and hit the inside retaining wall. But you're going to have to be careful here, as David Pohl immediately jumps out to provisional pole with a 32.8. That's the fastest lap we've seen so far.
Yeah, boy howdy, you're not kidding about that last corner, and you know it counts towards a lot of overall lap time. Of course, 3rd sector time, but also accounts a pretty high for 1st sector time, as you carry a lot of that speed down into turn 1 and apply that to your 1st sector split as well. So yeah, important one.
As we just witnessed Laurent Vassman do what we just talked about, run a little wide there on exit of that final corner. It cost him a bit of time. So Laurent currently at P7 with 34.8. So David Pohl's pole lap current 32.8 is almost a second quicker than our previous GT2 record. Previously the pole was 33.127. So you should see that by Andre Preto and the Ford GT3. So you should see these guys run a little quicker than David's lap, but who knows? This could be good enough to take pole right now. Eiran Parsons, another guy,
yeah, I would
32s as well. In that Viper. Go ahead.
Yeah, nice times coming in so far. I would expect some of the best times to be in the mid-32 range, a little bit under perhaps. That's where they're going to want to be. You had a chance to talk with David Pohl. He was pretty happy in the R8 around here. He hasn't been able to say that for the first couple 3 tracks of the season. Hasn't been overwhelmed, but here he's been pretty happy with the Audi.
As Eiran Parsons jumps to provisional pole with the 32.5. So yeah, David Pohl was the first few events he wasn't too high up on that that Audi, but as you said, it looks like he's doing all right with it here tonight.
Yeah, well, a couple back-to-back fifth place finishes, solid top fives are going to help the help your feeling about a car after a slow start there at Road America. David Poole back on track, and sitting fifth in overall championship points should be noted.
As we're on board, Marty Eiran, he's got a little bit of traffic up ahead of him. One of the Ferraris. Not sure if that's Bjorn Heyman, but he's getting balked as that Ferrari is on a hot lap, so Marty's going to have to be a little more patient there with that Ferrari he's dealing with. So, even with the Ferrari, Marty jumps up to P3 with the 133.1. So nice lap for Marty.
Yeah, I haven't seen or talked with Marty much about what kind of chances he thinks or how that Aston Martin's going to do around this track here tonight, but it should be a pretty good performer. This track, of course, a real stop and sport track. Should have good power getting off these slow corners.
So follow Mikey Monahan in the Mercedes SLS. He's about to finish a hot lap. Down on time there is Mikey with a 34 change. Does not meet his current best lap of a 34.9. So Mikey currently sitting in P5. Kurt Chandler currently in 6th. Kurt having a great start of the season thus far.
Yeah, Curtis running strong. I had a chance to talk with Curtis some, watch some of his practice laps, and he's pretty happy with the Guppert around this play. So hopefully Curtis will be able to hang in there and fight for some big points there at the sharp end of the grid. It should be noted also Curtis Chandler there in the top 10 in overall championship points. So yeah, absolutely right, Al. Strong start to the season.
Yeah, his qualifying has been okay. He's really made up a lot of positions during race conditions, so he's really raced well and stayed out of trouble. So far so good for Kurt.
You know, we had a shout out to our George Alba fan. Just wanted to mention real quick, George Alba currently running P21.
George currently in the pit lane. With Esteban Palacio currently languishing back at 23rd. I expect him to jump up the timing and scoring. Not this lap, only good for 18th. So Esteban,
you know, I'm not
early on here.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing times that are not quite as low as I would have expected here in the top 10 or 15 or so. I'm wondering if there's quite a bit of traffic these guys are having to deal with. Maybe not everybody's quite got in their best laps yet.
As we ride along with Sol Lung, Sol jumps up to 18th. Sol a little further back than we'd expect as well. We talked about David Pole's struggles early on in the Audi. I don't think we could say the same for Sol. Sol has done very well in that car. It's in 5th position right now in the championship standings for GT2.
Yeah, absolutely tied for 5th with teammate David Poole, as a matter of fact. Yeah, he has been a strong performer. He's had some bad luck, but last week really pulled it together, put in a 6th place there at Golden Port. Real tough track. Anybody that was there to witness that, we had a raucous time there, but yeah, so long, all of a sudden becoming kind of a championship contender here before our eyes. Good to see.
Raucous time, to say the least. Emotions ran high, both during the race and post-race, up and down the pit lane. I think that week off was good for everybody. Let some tempers cool off there, and got themselves focused on Zhuhai for this week.
Yeah, look forward to a few calmer heads prevailing here this week. I think we will, though it is another track which can lead to a few battles out there. There's some different lines to take into these corners and some opportunities to perhaps stuff a nose in. But hey, makes for excitement sitting up here in the booth.
Well, I think it was expected given the nature of the track, as Saul improves up to 9th spot, so nice showing for Saul, currently in the top 10. Nick Johnston, a little surprised to see him back in 6th, as he's got a ton of traffic he's dealing with at the moment, but we'll get back to Nick in a moment. Looks like he's on an out lap. Juan Monroy. Juan is also on an out lap here. A lot of traffic here early on.
It looks like everybody except for, about 4 or 5 competitors out of our field of 35 is out there on track at the moment. So, yeah, a lot of traffic.
Juan Monroy filling in for, substituting, I should say, for Cup Douglas, who is on assignment this weekend and not able to attend tonight's race. So, hopefully we'll see Cup back in action next week.
Yeah, it's a good pickup for PMR to put Juan Monroy in that seat. Always a fierce competitor, always good speed.
George Alba currently on an out lap. I see a Ford GT out there. I believe somebody has. Oh, well, you know what? We should mention John Solberger making his debut here in GT2. Once he found out that the Camaro was available in the GT2 pack, he immediately signed up. Apparently he wasn't aware that there was a Camaro in the pack, being a Camaro owner himself, and nobody was driving it. It was all over. Solberger competes regularly in GT1, so it's nice to have him here.
Yeah, welcome John Solberger. I tell you, not a lot of great feelings around the paddock or in our preseason testing for that Camaro, but I got to tell you, I ran it around here some myself and shot down to the low 34s pretty quickly. Seemed like a pretty good car to me.
Nice looking car as well, but John a little back in the standings here. He also is carrying a little, as he gets into it, one of the Ferraris caught him off guard, but he is carrying a little bit of weight for tonight's race, so that could be hurting his performance.
Yeah, well, one guy that whose performance is not being hurt by weight so much is Eiran Parsons. Still sitting up there. He's carrying 20 kilos. Not going to slow him down too much, but looking strong in that Viper. I got to say, I figured it'd be a pretty good performer here, but I'm a little surprised he's still leading the way up there with about 12 minutes to go.
And Joe LaCour currently sitting in P3 as he led the way in practice early on. He's about a 10th off here in Sector 1. I'm sorry, Sector 2 is approaching the front straight here. Now we'll see where Ian ends up. No improvement for Ian.
Yeah, that will. Yeah, he did improve his second sector time, but sure didn't improve it overall. That final corner coming into play once again.
Looks like Tiago could be struggling a bit here at Zhuhai with the weight in that Porsche, currently sitting 16th.
Yeah, I would expect his times to be a little. I would expect him to be a little bit faster than he is, so maybe he's struggling to get a lap in. But yeah, the weight will definitely hurt him. I would expect him to slot somewhere inside the top 10, however. But we'll see. The times are very close, and so a couple tenths are going to make quite a few positions worth of difference here by the end of this qualifying session.
Currently sitting, as I mentioned, in P16, carrying 60 kilograms of weight. As I mentioned earlier, it's won the last 2 races at Bathurst and Golden.
Yeah, and it should be noted, second to Tiago Canola there in championship point standings. Eiran Parsons leading the way here. Tiago could be giving up some of those precious points here tonight. Eiran only 8 points back.
Lurch on exit at the final corner. Tiago ends up, jumps up a couple positions to 14th.
So jumped up a couple of positions, but gained only 5/100ths of a second now.
On board with Chris Moses, about to complete a hot lap. Talked to Chris before tonight's race. Currently sitting in P4. Chris was really liking his chances here tonight. That's a good pace in that BMW B6.
Well, he might be liking his chances, but he's going to have to get a little faster, I think, if he really wants to win this thing. His practice time's a little off, as well as his qualifying times thus far. Always a contender, though, of course. Just taking a look at the timing and scoring there. Nick Johnston has run up into the 7th starting slot here so far, so Nick has picked up a few positions. Also nice to see Laurent Weissman there, currently sitting 5th.
Nick also carrying some weight going into tonight's race, so looks like Chris has pulled out of it. Jump on board with Nick. Nick has had pole for the first 3 races this season, but currently sitting in 7th position. Not sure if the weight also is affecting his performance here, but
you know, Nick is not a guy that I've seen on the server much here for practice, so he may be a little short on practice time this week here. Not sure.
himself a little bit of space. Well, David Pohl has improved slightly to 32.7, but a couple tenths behind Eiran Parsons. David Pohl.
Yeah, well, I have to revise my my earlier statement. I did think we'd get more toward the lower 32s by whoever ended up having pole would be somewhere near the low 32s, but so far we're seeing that 32.5 as a pretty solid mark here by Eiran.
David Pohl, 0.07 of a second off in Sector 1, so it looks like he's got a pretty decent lap for himself. There's a couple sets of corners here that he's going through right now. A little, as you can see, can be a little tricky. Exit there.
You know, I think David...
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Al. I was just taking a look at the sector times. I think David Pohl has a good chance to take a run at this pole, as he is even in the second sector with Eiran. And that Audi should get through that last corner a little bit better than the Viper.
Yeah, looks like David has backed off of it. Not sure what happened. Lost a bit of time there in the second split, so he's gotten out of it. Laurent Weissman currently in P5 in the Jag. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, nice to see Laurent up there, Al.
With Simon Goodwin in the McLaren, currently sitting at 13th. Here in the session. I'm surprised as you are, Brad, that we haven't seen anybody else jump up to that. Simon improves to the 11th spot. Parsons set that pole time early on, and nobody's been able to find an answer for that.
Yeah, you can expect for every about minute and a half of lap time on a track, you can expect the qualifying difference to be about a second, a little bit more than that. These guys are usually they're gamers, and so they usually they'll step up and usually go a little over a second. So I was expecting that. I think David Pohl does have a shot if he could nail that last corner to make a run at Eiran here, but he's running out of time. 5 minutes to go.
As we jump on board with Ian, don't be surprised if you see Ian throw down a hot lap. He has a tendency that he's a bit off here, but Ian's very quick, and he may be able to reel one off here in the late stages of this qualifying session.
It's a possibility. He's gotten only 3 timed laps in, but they've all been real close to each other, so he's running real consistent times. He just needs to cut a perfect lap all the way around. Yeah, he's got a shot.
Nick Johnson has improved to P6. John Houston at 13th. Canavan. I haven't mentioned Canavan too much, but he's way back in 15th in that Ferrari.
I was thinking the same thing about David, and also taking a look at Tiago's back there in 16th again, Al.
Canavan's teammate, Christian Hamilton, sitting in 17th. So both of these Ferraris, Pirelli shop Ferraris, struggling here at Zhuhai this evening.
Well, you can't get much better conditions for him either. It's nice and warm out there. Shouldn't have too much of a problem with getting heat in those tires, but not so good so far.
Michael Richard, looks like he has swapped rides and finds himself in the Corvette, currently sitting in 31st. Ryan Story, 33rd. Greg Myers struggling also. He's back at 28th.
Yeah, it's a real possibility Greg Myers hasn't had a lot of practice here this week either.
Jens Klempnauer and David Rowley, they have also given up on the McLaren and have jumped into the Ford GT. Klempnauer finds himself back at 23rd. Rally, 21st.
So you telling me Rowley actually showed up for a race?
Apparently his alarm clock decided to work tonight. David Rowley, racing out of the UK.
Well, good for David.
Also, John Watson has also jumped out and into the Mercedes.
Yeah, nice cars. A little surprising that that car didn't get picked up in the preseason draft, but it's finally making its debut out here tonight. It's good to see.
Johnny Lugnutz has jumped up ahead of Tiago now, and actually 17th. Tiago may have. Tiago jumps back ahead of him, and he's in 16th at the moment. And Tiago is struggling.
Boy, he sure is. His racecraft and/or strategy is going to have to be really on the game tonight if he wants to limit any losses. Eiran looks like he might be willing to deal them.
Hey, I see Jean-Yves Sampson in the chat. Just want to thank Jean-Yves publicly. He's donated a nice. He was at the Formula One race in Canada and has donated a Renault F1 cap to the league to give away as a prize. So we'll eventually give that away to somebody for something.
Another fabulous NAGP prize, Al. Great, thanks, Johnny.
Thank you, Jean. Oh, and David Pohl is up in Sector 2, so this is interesting as the seconds wind down here in qualifying. Let's see if Pohl is
gonna have to hit that last corner.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's a very critical exit here. Dave saw that time gap, and I'm sure it's in his head. Nice exit for Dave, so looks like he might have it. And he does, just barely. By 0.02 of a second. But Aaron Parsons is out on a hot lap. Let's see where he is through Sector 1.
Well, Aaron's going to see that flash up on his timing and scoring in car. Yeah,
Eiran behind through sector 2. It's so important to get the power down. The exit of that corner, he just exited. Time is about to expire.
Here it is.
No.
No.
Fails to improve. Chris Moses, meanwhile, has jumped up to 3rd. Nick Johnston in 4th. He's not going to have enough time. We'll see where Ian is. Ian's done. Kurt Chandler may be able to finish his lap. Oh, Kurt pulls it into the pit lane. Palacio's done. Kevin Miller, he may have enough time here to squeeze this one in. Nope.
Well, that was a couple frantic last couple laps. Chris Moses, Nick Johnson jumping up there all of a sudden, bumping Ian Jolicoeur, Laurent Weissman. So a couple studly laps there as time's running out there for those guys. Well done.
Yeah, great lap by
Power packed.
Go ahead.
Front top 5. Yeah, power packed front 5 there, Al. Should be some good stuff here on the start.
Yeah, 5/10 separating 1 through 6. 1 second separating 1 through 10. So very tight qualifying session here, as David Pohl gets his first pole position of the season. I believe I am pronouncing his name incorrectly. It's Pohl, right? Or is it Pohl?
I believe that it is Pohl, Al.
Alright, well, I'll have to work on that one. Meanwhile, Aaron Parsons finishes 2nd, and Chris Moses with a late surge there to take 3rd. So Chris starting in the 2nd row beside Nick Johnson.
Well, that's going to make Chris really happy. Always a very excellent racecraft does Chris Moses have, and he's going to really want those spots here, as this track can be pretty tough to pass on. So he's going to be looking forward to getting out in front of that Nick Johnson, Ian Jolicoeur there, and try to make hay on Aaron Parsons and David Pohl, if at all possible.
So as we wait quality 2 to complete here, just waiting for some latecomers, if any, to show up. We got 35 currently to take the green flag here tonight. So another great turnout here for GT2.
Yeah, packed grid and also packed times. You can expect these guys to be running very close to each other for the majority of the race. Once again, those small mistakes are going to equal into big positions lost. So these guys will have to make sure that they keep it on track and keep it cool out there.
Well, we got some time. Just want to mention that the Saturday League will be back at it this time around. They'll be running the Champ Car mod from 05-06 season, the open wheel mod. It's a lot of fun if you've never driven them. So we're gonna see some nice road courses, a couple ovals. So should be fun. There's details on the forum about it if you're interested. And also there's always room for GT2 if anybody out there is watching and may be interested in joining. NorthAmericanGP.com, and click on the Join Now button, and you'll see details for GT2 and the GT1 season. So
yeah, that Saturday champ car should be a lot of fun out there. Good times.
So it looks like we lost somebody, and I'm not sure who it was.
Yeah, I didn't catch that either, Al, but unfortunately it looks like they've missed out as we've switched over our sessions here. Oh, and we have a wet warm-up.
A very wet warm-up. Cold and wet.
Well, some guys are going to be loving this, some guys not so much.
Well, we have yet to see wet conditions in, I say by pool. We have yet to see wet conditions here at GT2, so it's going to be interesting to see if the race does go wet, how these guys are going to handle these conditions.
Yeah, well, and there's always a possibility that we can get some changeable weather as well in there. No reason why we couldn't start off dry and go wet, or the other way around. So, also another variable that, like you say, these guys haven't had to deal with, and some variables that some newcomers haven't had to deal with, Nick Johnston in particular. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
What tire brand do you think will have an advantage if the race goes wet? I know personally, my experience, the Pirelli shot cars are very, very good in wet conditions, as well as the Dunlops.
Well, the Yokohamas are going to be flat out best in the wet conditions. Honestly, I'm not sure if we have any Yokohama-clad cars. Indeed, the Dunlop's also a very strong performer in the wet, with the Pirellis right behind them. So any of those tire makes will offer an advantage, but driving skill and caution and patience are also pretty key.
Well, the good thing about wet weather is there's always that wild card factor. You could see somebody you don't expect end up in the top 10, in the points, and in victory lane. You know, you never know.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It can tend to shake up the field. We've seen Thiago, for all his speed and consistency out there, struggle himself in the wet. So if a great driver like Thiago, our championship points leader, can have some trouble in the wet, it could happen to anybody, and we always do have some fantastic results in those events. I had a quick update by Gupster here on our chat. Apparently the Jaguars on the Yokohama, so George Alba perhaps looking good for this event if it rains.
Yep, George and Laurent. Well, looks like we're missing Salem Montgomery Jr. tonight. I don't think he said he was not going to be available for tonight's race. It's unfortunate. But yeah, Laurent also in the Jag. He could be a wild card here tonight. There's just a quick rundown of the top 5 in the championship. Thiago Canola leading the way with 63 points, followed by Eiran Parsons with 55. Chris Moses is in third with 49 points. Nick Johnston sitting in fourth with 41. And So Long is tied for fifth with his teammate David Pohl with 32 points. In the team championship, Adrenaline Taxi Service, that's Thiago Canola and Greg Myers, lead the way with 71. Precision Motor Racing, Gup Douglas and Chris Moses in second with 67. 05 Motorsports, So Long, David Pohl with 64. Team Brock Dam Bam GT2, that's Eiran Parsons and John Houston, they're in fourth with 62. And Elite Motorsports with 46 points, that is Dave Canavan and Christian Hamilton, but they're going to have their work cut out for them tonight as they start.
Yeah, apparently, Al.
However, if it does rain, this could play into their favor, so who knows?
Yeah, certainly David Canavan, pretty darn good in the wet, definitely above average, and you know, all those drivers and teams that you mentioned are there based on the results from last week and all the other results, but last week in particular, all having strong runs on a very tough track, keeping it on track and consistent, and that's how you win championships around here. You got to keep it on the black stuff and minimize your losses when you're having a rough night. So good job to those guys, and good luck the rest of the way. Oh, I think we're in for a real barn burner here tonight, Al.
And also,
particularly at the.
Go ahead.
particularly at the sharp end of this grid. I think we're in for some real fireworks up there.
Just want to give a quick shout out to Inside SimRacing.tv. Not that they need it, but I just want to thank them for posting our live events on their site, on their live race calendar. So thanks to those guys, Darren Ganji. Always been a supporter of the league, so thanks to him and Inside Sim Racing.
Yeah, and what a great resource for sim racers out there, all over the place, from console to PC to anything. They do a great job. Thanks, guys.
All right, so warm up just about completed. So we're expecting this race to go the distance should it stay dry. Previous race here went the entire 60 minutes. Went 60 minutes and the track is wet. So we're starting, it's sunny but hot and wet. 102 degree track temperature, 94 degree ambient. So these guys, some guys may gamble on tires here, but who knows. But nonetheless, starting from pole, his first pole position of the season, David Pole. In second, Eiran Parsons. Third, Chris Moses. Fourth, Nick Johnson. Fifth, Ian Jolicoeur.
Starting in sixth, Laurent Weissman. Marty Urin will start seventh. Curtis Chandler, nice run up to eighth. Juan Monroy and a fill-in role in ninth. So Long starts 10th. Simon
Goodwin 11th, Esteban Palacio 12th, John Houston 13th, Dave Canavan 14th, and Mikey Monahan at 15th.
Tiago Canola starts a disappointing 16th. Johnny Lovenuts is in 17th. Christian Hamilton starts 18th. Marco Conni's in 19th, and Jared Keene rounds out the top 20.
John Watson 21st, David Rowley 22nd, Jens Klempnauer 23rd, Kevin Miller 24th, and Eric Marecki is 25th.
John Solberg starts in 26th, George Alba's in 27th, Gregory Myers is in 28th, Bjorn Hemmen in 29th, and Michael Richard starts 30th.
Drew Lidke 31, Brian Story 32nd, Lou Mascarelli 33rd, Kenny Mervin bringing up the rear in 4th, sorry. So there you have it, track remains wet, has not changed. What do you think of tonight, Brad? Who do you have taking this?
Pretty much a total crapshoot, Al. But if I have to pick somebody, I'm going to go with the experience of Chris Moses in these types of conditions. I think Eiran Parsons may struggle with that Viper entire temps.
We got 10 seconds to go. I'm going to go with. I don't know who I'm going with. Here we go. And we're off from Zhuhai. David Pole with a great start in the wet. Into turn 1. Side by side with Eiran. And it looks like Eiran gets away as we got a little commotion in the back. Chris Moses hangs on in that 3rd spot. Marty Eiran jumps up to 4th. So Long's jumped up to 5th as Nick Johnson and Juan Monroy.
That looks like Ian Jolicoeur was part of Ian Jolicoeur part of the contact or whatever we had back there. Ian Jolicoeur back in the pack.
Saw John Houston go off. Michael Richard up to 21st. It's a very critical corner here. Looks like Jared Keene and one of the Mercedes, either Watton. Looks like Watton has gotten into it with Keene, so not sure what happened there. A lot of action in the back. George Alba back in 31st. And Ian is way back now at 33rd.
Yeah, Ian was off in the first corner, and these guys are really struggling to come to grips, pun intended, with these conditions, Al.
Marty Eiran has gotten around Chris Moses for 3rd. Tiago Canola has jumped up to 6th.
Wow. Wow. Yes, he has.
Gotten ahead of Nick Johnston. Unbelievable.
Yeah, well, that's a nice start for Tiago, and I guess I'll have to take back what I said about him in the rain here right now. I am sorry, Tiago. Well done in the early going.
Alright, you're in third. Moses fourth. Monroy up to 8th. Esteban 9th. Kurt 10th. Assman back and forth.
Yeah, and just
Jens up to 50.
yeah, just one position.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to mention John Houston here in 11th made up a nice start and looking good for that TBROK Dam Bam team.
As Rashad goes off. Struggling in the damp conditions. He's got a little more action in the back. These guys are really going at it.
Yeah, we've had a few offs here. I think Chris Moses might be involved in an off here. Chris Moses back to 14th, Al.
He is certainly off. And now under pressure from Jens.
Yeah, I didn't catch what happened there, but that's a big loss for Chris Moses. He's going to have to fight his way back here with these changing conditions. Track has dried out a bit, Al.
It's changed to damp. You wonder if some of these guys may have gambled and started on inters. If those guys did, they're in the catbird seat.
Yeah, we're going to see exactly who's on what here before too long, because with those temperatures, these tires are going to be roasting, even if they did take on the intermediates. Tiago Canola had a problem on the last corner, Al. He's back to 9th.
Assman with a big slide. Struggling to put the power down. He loses a position to Moses. Johnston has a problem. It allows So Long and Kurt Chandler to get by.
Curtis Chandler was 10th just at the beginning of this last lap, Al. So they're all over the place here. It's hard to keep up with what's going on out there.
Some of these guys possibly starting on the wet, so now starting to feel the heat. Those tire temps could be soaring. This Juan Monroy is now up to 4th.
Wow, yeah, I just saw that, Al. The guys that started on wet in this race are going to be in for some serious problems here right about now.
As Parsons continues to lead the way here. On board with Esteban as he tries to chase Monroy down in the BMW onto the front straight.
Yeah. Aaron Parsons, one of the few guys who we know where he's at. He's been staying there the first couple laps. Really interesting, this 8th and 9th battle. Nick Johnston and Tiago Canola, a couple of our championship favorites.
Nice pass by Esteban on Monroy for 4th.
Just saw in timing and scoring, Jared Keane has popped up here with the DNF, so tough night for Jared Keane. We'll have to get him next week.
Kurt Chandler has gotten past So Long for P6. Sol, take a look on the inside. Oh, and they go 3 wide. Johnston went 3 wide. I think So Long got the worst of that one and has fallen back to 9th as Tiago Canola took advantage of that. Wow. Intense action here.
What a battle. Yeah, what a battle those guys are having. I can tell you right now, Al, that those tires are red hot, and they're fighting for control and trying to fight for that pass at the same time.
And Johnston runs wide. Now Kurt's going to take that position back. Wow. Oh, and Kurt runs wide, and now Johnson gives it right back. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and there's similar battles going on all over the track at the moment, Al. George Alba, a quick update there, up to 21st, so nice start for George.
As looks like Johnson is on wets as he's diving, looking for some wet track. So he is struggling, most likely. Tiago nearly gets into the back of Kurt. He is all over the back of Kurt right now.
Yeah, so while those guys dice it out, it really gives Esteban Palacio and Juan Monroy there in 4th and 5th a chance to get a little breathing room and maybe set themselves up down the stretch here for solid top 5 finishes. Chris Moses, meanwhile, still languishing back there in 11th.
Yeah, Mike Monahan just really blew that corner. Greg Myers now up to 17th. There's so much action going on here, guys. Trying to keep you guys abreast of everything that's going on. It's kind of tough tonight.
You know, and we're talking about the intermediates versus full wet tread, Al. There's a possibility some of these guys are on the full slick tires, expecting those hot conditions to dry out the track quickly.
Monroy continues in 5th. Johnston hanging on to that 6th spot for the time being, but it looks like he's really struggling. Let's keep an eye on Nick here as he heads down to the final corner.
Yeah, quick update on timing and scoring. I see Gregory Myers has moved up into the 16th position, so a good start for Gregory Myers from his starting position.
So we have Lugnuts in the pit lane. Canavan has worked his way up to 10th. As Moses has a huge glitch.
Well, we have quite one heck of a battle here over that 15th spot at the moment now. These guys are really battling out there.
Kurt now all over the back of Nick Johnston here for that 6th spot. You know, Kurt desperately wants to get that position back.
Yeah, and you know Tiago Canola and So Long would also like another chance to get up there and battle back for those positions.
And the battle for 3rd looks like it's heating up. Marty may have made a mistake. As Juan now and Esteban taking a look on the outside of Marty. Marty hangs on to it for now, but Esteban doing the all up and under.
Yeah, no question that was a mistake by Marty Eiran, so his tires obviously showing some signs of stress too.
When do you decide to pit if you did happen to make the wrong call and take the wrong tires? When do you go in?
In these conditions, yeah, in these conditions going rapidly hot, if you made a mistake, it's time to dive in right now and try to work your way back up, having as much time in the bank as possible.
Esteban does it for 3rd. Nice run going for Esty. Monroy looking to pick off that position from Eiran as well.
Yeah, those guys battling have allowed Nick Johnson and Curtis Chandler to pick up some ground on them. Juan Monroy is having a great race in that fill-in roll, and with 20 kilograms on that car as well.
Monroy, a native of Colombia. Ooh, and Marty has
these guys could
a bit of a lurch, but he's back on. Go ahead.
These guys could switch to the slicks probably right now, Al, and a lot of them are maybe within their fuel window as well. So I would expect to see some divers into the pits here before too long.
Condition is damp, but with this heat, you can get away with the slicks, possibly even the soft slicks. Ooh. Juan hangs on to it. Yep.
Wow.
Wow, that was dicey. It didn't lose much time to Marty either in the process. Wow.
He kept his foot in it. Here goes Nick.
Oh, and Nick, however, takes advantage. That power of that BMW, it doesn't look like it's going to happen for Nick. Nick's going to take a look. He might have blown it.
David Pulls. David Poole's had a mistake there in the second spot out. He is dropping back, and Esteban Palacio may be able to make some ground up him for that second spot.
Kurt now on the attack.
Got another quick update for our George Alba fans out there. Up to 17th, threatening for points, Al.
So long as falling back to 9th. Canavan continues in 10th, and Moses also remains in 11th. So no change for Moses. Marco Conti, another great run. Currently in 12th, just outside the top 10. Laurent back at 13th. Started up around 5th. Has fallen back. Jens Klepp now and Brian Story, 14th and 15th. Jens, admirable job in that Ford considering the weight and the conditions. Christian Hamilton's in 16th. George Alba up to 17th, just out of the points. George having a good run here. That those wet conditions are working out for him here tonight.
Get through your rundown quickly, Al, and get back up to that fight there with for 6th place.
Oh, as Esteban is now caught up to David Poole, and is putting the pressure on Poole. Ooh, and has a look on the inside. It looks like he's got him. And David Poole looking to answer back, but no, not going to happen. Esteban takes P2 away from Poole. Wow, what a run for Esty.
David Poole making a mistake and giving up quite a bit of ground on lap time here the last couple, 3 laps.
Kurt Chandler has gotten past Swan. Man, this battle for 3rd is intense.
Yeah, and it's only allowing more drivers behind them to catch back up so long, and David Canavan, Chris Moses, all making ground on those guys, and they'll be in that fight.
Kurt had a look on the inside. Lets Marty know he's there. Looks like give him a little tap. Tappity tap.
So Long has made a little mistake here and allowed David Canavan and Chris Moses through for 9th and 10th.
I'm shocked to say this, but it looks like Marty is holding up these guys, holding up Kurt especially. Kurt is definitely appears to be quicker than Marty. Ooh, Marty has a huge slide. Kurt's going to take advantage.
That's always going to help get past Marty Eiran.
Yeah.
Because otherwise Marty's pretty tough to get past. Track temperature continues to climb, Al.
As Kurt jumps into the top 5. It'll be interesting to hear what tire choice Kurt decided to go with. Marty on the other hand as well. It looks like he may be on inters, or if he's on wets, he's in a lot of trouble. Juan now feeling the heat from Tiago.
I have to say, Al, I'm kind of surprised some of these guys are not diving in to take on the slicks. I can't imagine there are too many of them that took them on the start, but boy, I'm thinking now's the time. If these guys are in their pit window, it's time.
We may. Ooh, well, Juan's back in there. I had a weird lag as Juan just disappeared in front of Tiago. And he's reappeared in 13th, so that's not good for Juan.
I got to tell you, I'm looking at that 2nd spot. Esteban Palacio having a great run and fastest on track here the last 5 or 6 laps. So Esty really going well.
Not sure if Moses has made a mistake, but Marco Conti has gotten by Chris Moses for 11th.
Chris Moses just up in 10. Yeah, Chris Moses was just up there in the 10th spot. So yeah, I got to think it's a mistake or contact out there for Chris.
All right, Juan has reappeared now back in 7th. So his little glitchy internet is okay now. And Marty has fallen back to 6th.
Whew, well, we stabilized a little bit here, Al. David Canavan up to 8th. His rain prowess is showing. Thiago Canola into the pits, Al. And we know Thiago for sure is, yeah, for sure he's within his pit window, and you can bet he's jumping onto the slicks here, and I think he's going to make up some ground if the rest of these guys stay out.
Meanwhile, up front, Eiran Parsons with a huge lead, 15 seconds. We're almost 20 minutes into this one.
Yeah, Al, Esteban's taking a good half second per lap out of Eiran Parsons here, so running strong. I mean, you know, who knows? Maybe he's got a chance to, with some strategy, really make up some seconds on Eiran and give him a run here towards the end.
Yeah, you're right. We're going to have to keep an eye on that gap. Paul continues to run in 3rd. And Kurt Chandler is closing in on Nick Johnston for that 4th spot.
Yeah, that car working well. I got to think Curtis is on the inters for sure, but haven't had the opportunity to drive the car a little bit. It's pretty darn good in the wet, and Curtis is as well.
Now Monroy is currently in 7th, is immediately behind Marty Eiran, who's struggled a little bit here early on. We lost another person. We've lost quite a few people here this evening, and unfortunately I'm not sure who, but
yeah, we haven't had time to really go through the order here on a real consistent basis, but I can tell you that Thiago Canola has come out of the pits in 24th and will begin to make his charge on what I have to assume is slicks. Esteban Palacio, meanwhile, has picked up another couple seconds on Eiran. That gap now 14 seconds to 1st place.
Now Monroy is all over the back of Marty. You may see a move here from this position coming up.
Track temperature continues to rise, Al. 111 degrees Fahrenheit.
Holy smokes! Now who says Zhuhai is a boring track? Come on, this is unbelievable action.
I love the place myself.
I guess it's boring if you're Eiran Parsons and you're 15 seconds up on the field. But
12 and a half now, Al.
Oh. He's taking 3 seconds off that split.
Yeah, Eiran, I think, might have to consider getting into the pits here as soon as he can. I can't imagine Esteban went with the slicks to start, but who knows? Continues to run faster laps. Esteban is crushing them.
Gup Douglas, working the team radio for PMR, has told Juan Monroy that he has to get by Marty. So we'll have to take a look here and see what what Juan decides to do. But according to Guppa, he's got to do it soon.
Yeah, meanwhile, Laurent Weissman has gotten by David Canavan for that 8th position, and Marco Conti is just sitting there lurking, waiting to pick up a couple spots of his own from those guys.
On board with Marco. And now in the top 10.
Chris Moses into the pits, Al. From the 12th position.
So we mentioned this last week, but we have to say it again. So far, our 2 unlikely stars this season has got to be Marco and Kurt Chandler. Both of these guys putting in some great runs here early on, showing some great performance.
Picking up the pace. Love to see Curtis there in 5th. Great job, both Curtis and Marco. Absolutely right. Boy, it's all about consistency out here, Al. It's one thing to run fast laps, but you gotta turn on lap after lap, and these guys are starting to show their colors.
Marco really pushing hard to get past Canavan.
Juan Monroy's had a problem. Curtis Chandler up into the 4th spot.
Johnson has fallen back to 10th. Kurt Chandler up to 4th. As Johnson goes off And Kurt looking to reel in David Poole as Ian Jolicoeur is doing some lawn mowing.
Marty Eiran, David Canavan, and Nick Johnston all in the pits out.
So we're working 23 minutes into this race, almost 24, and these guys can't take it anymore. They got a pit.
Yeah, well, I think they've hit their pit window here, Al. I thought it would have come a little earlier, but in any event, I think they're coming in as early as they can.
Well, the gap now to Esteban is now only 9 seconds. Esteban is on a tear.
36.3 for Esteban, 38.2 for Eiran that last lap. Eiran, a pretty darn cagey driver. He's not going to let that gap get too much closer before he dives in here for some new rubber. But still, that lead has shrunk.
We'll see what Dave Poole decides to do if he stays out. And Poole dives into the pit lane. Kurt Chandler's going to stay out. Ooh, as Kurt has a huge slide but saves it. Hang into it. Hang on to it, Kurt.
Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see on this pit stop rotation who's made the good stops. These guys obviously right nose to tail on track here and fighting intensely. These stops are going to be really critical for these guys and where they all shake out on our rotation.
See if Parsons decides to jump into the pit lane.
Eiran making up a little bit of ground, a slightly better lap, but Esteban still taking 7/10 off of him that last lap. David Poole and So Long into the pits out. You already mentioned that.
Yeah, you got to think that Esteban is seeing that gap drop. Definitely going to be pushing as hard as he can. Parsons stays out.
Yeah. I can't imagine that Eiran's doing some type of weird strategy thing. I'm not really seeing that. So I'm kind of wondering why Eiran's staying out here working lap, I believe, 14 here of a scheduled 39. He's got to be pretty close to his pit window. I mean, he should be well within it. Juan Monroy into the pits.
Ooh, as we have a situation where Johnston, looks like Johnston went off, Canavan has gotten by. And Chris Mose, this action has been non-stop since the get-go.
Yeah, Nick Johnston really hurt himself with that on a couple of those in laps there, having that off. Put him right into this fight. Chris Moses, David Canavan, KG veterans in these conditions.
These guys currently 16, 17, and 18. Gap now only 6 seconds behind between Parsons and Palacio.
Just don't know what is going on there, Al.
Well, it could be tires. You know, it could be a situation where Palacio did start on either inters or wets, and softs or something like that, and they're working for him.
Yeah, Eiran does now dive into the pits. Oh, I saw Nick Johnston go off, Al. So Nick Johnston's definitely got to be on the slicks here and just having trouble coming to terms with him on this still damp track.
Yep, so Johnston now back in 18th.
Boy, tough break for Nick. He's he's all of a sudden giving up a lot of positions, falling out of these points.
Esteban continues to lead the way here. We're going to have to keep an eye on Esty to see if he decides to stay out and really throw down some quick laps here.
Yeah, his lap times are dropping off now, Al. I would expect to see Esty into the pits before too much longer here. He's got a good gap down on Eiran, so I think he did about as good as he could. It might be time to dive in and pick up those slicks. Boy, it is still pretty wet out there, though. These guys are struggling coming out of the pits. But now's the time.
Mickey Monahan up to 4th. He has yet to pit. Bassman running P5. Parsons rejoins in 6th. And George Alba currently running in 7th.
Yeah, nice run, George, before his pit stop. Curtis Chandler now lays down the law with a 36.7 among the fastest laps we've seen so far.
Wow, Kurt. See if Kurt decides to stay out. He does. How's that car, the Gumpert, on fuel?
About middle of the pack, Al. So not a great fuel economy car, but doesn't really suck it up either.
So Marco Conti now in 3rd. Monahan 4th. Bassman now in the middle of a battle between one of the Ferraris and either Kevin Miller or Brian Story, one of the two. Parsons running wide there in the final corner. Still in P6. Alba continuing to run here in P7th ahead of David Poole. Poole is running in 8th, so really you got to hand it to George. So, you know, holding off that fight from Poole.
Looking good so far, Al. Quick update. Esteban Palacios had a huge off here and has given up all the time that he gained on Eiran Parsons with a trip through the kitty litter.
Well, that's unfortunate. That could cost him the race.
Boy, it's a real possibility, Al. I tell you, I'm watching these guys come out on these slicks, and especially for the more inexperienced guys, it's so important to stay on this, stay on the groove. You got to stay on the groove. You push just that little tiny bit extra, and boy, you're off track fast.
Poole has gotten past Alba for 7th.
Yeah, George not really.
9th. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say George Alba as well, not real experienced out there. It's going to be time for him to come in, but he's going to be challenged on those slicks when he does get them.
Marty Eiran currently in 10th. Right behind him is Juan Monroy. Canavan 12th. Moses in 13th. Mascarelli running in 14th. And Johnston back in 15th. So Long back in 16th. Ian Jolicoeur running 17th. He's been struggling here tonight. Brian Story 18th. Hamilton running at 19th. Jens Klebnauer 20th. Greg Myers 21. Simon Goodwin's running back at 22nd. The 23rd is Kevin Miller. Bjorn Heyman 24th. John Houston back at 25th. Lugnuts 26th. Solberger running in 27th. And Michael Rashad in 28th. Well, looks like Swervin' Mervin's out. Not sure what happened to him.
You know, I think I have to revise my statement a little bit. Looking at the lap times from the guys on slicks, it looks like they're just now coming into their own and should be getting better from here on out. I think Eiran staying out as long as he did was probably a good call. He switched over at the right time.
Currently 33 minutes into. Ooh, and Kurt has a huge moment going into turn 1. So that's going to cost him a little time.
I just saw that myself. Curtis Chandler still in that high 36, low 37 range, which is among the fastest on track at the moment. Eiran Parsons dead 37 on those slicks, so that change over time. It looks like this is the moment for it.
Well, Bassman right ahead of Parsons, and it looks like Bassman makes it easy for him.
It's just one of those situations now on the slicks where you're hitting your lines and you're really going to pick up some pace. You're a little off and you're going to be giving up tons of ground. Oh, I love it. This is fun stuff.
Now Alba going at it with Tiago Canola for that 8th spot. Looks like Canola's
George Alba in rarefied air.
Side by side. Looks like Alba's going to hang on to it. He does.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Nice job by George. Hey, you got to hand it to him. Keeping his composure.
Yeah, Tiago quite a bit faster.
It's a 2-time GT2 champion. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. Tiago quite a bit faster, but no doubt having trouble making hay down the straights with the power loss of power in that Porsche. So top 3 drivers have yet to make stops. Esteban Palacio, Curtis Chandler, and Marco Conti all have yet to dive in. We'll figure out exactly where everybody's at when they make their final rotation here.
George runs a little wide. That allows Tiago to get by, as well as Marty and Juan.
Yeah, a little slip there from George. A quick update over the 8th position. Marty Eiran and Juan Monroy still fighting over it.
Yeah, we just picked that up.
The track temperature has finally stabilized here at 111 degrees Fahrenheit. So, still pretty hot, but at least they know what they're dealing with now.
Palacio into the pit lane, as is Kurt. So we're going to have to keep an eye on these guys. It looks like Parsons going to come out in the lead after the stops. He's approaching the final corner now, so.
Yeah, Esteban certainly had a shot there had he been not had a big spin and was able to keep his lap times up. But I think Eiran's going to have a pretty commanding lead here.
Yeah, definitely.
Now I'm assuming Laurent Weissman has come in. Laurent is not far off of Eiran, actually, now that we see the rotation coming through. Laurent's only 3 seconds off of Eiran Parsons.
We'll have to check that.
Laurent has made his pit stop. Oh, sorry, no he hasn't.
No, he has not.
I was looking at the wrong timing. I was looking at the wrong timing and scoring. Oh, wait a minute, there's a 1:59 lap from Laurent.
Oh, Marco Carney, meanwhile, leading this race. Looks like Marco will be diving into the pit lane right now. Parsons now takes over the lead.
I'm just trying to get a handle on all the action and what's kind of shaking out here. Yeah, I was trying to figure out where Esteban really lost all his time, but I think it mainly came in that one spin and a slow pit stop.
Very slow pit stop, which has allowed now David Pohl to end up only a couple seconds behind Esteban for what's fourth place right now. Chandler rejoins at P5 as Thiago Canola is out ahead of Marty Eiran and Juan Monroy as this battle continues to rage here for these 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th positions.
I'm really trying to get a handle on all the positions and how the lap times have affected where their positions are out. These lap times are just all over the place as these guys try to make these perfect lines where the grip is on these slicks and just having trouble doing it. So lap times fluctuating wildly here for these guys, and they're still battling tooth and nail. So quick update here. John Houston has slipped back to 22nd after we saw him make a fine run there in the early going, all the way up to 7th. Kevin Miller and George Alva run 24th and 25th. John Solberger making his debut in the Camaro back there in 26th. Johnny Lugnut's not having a great run here tonight in 27th, and Michael Richard runs 28th. So some of your runners not as high as they'd like tonight. It should be noted as well, Sol Lung has slipped back quite a bit to 15th as well, having some problems there in the wet. Ian Jolicoeur, after his early problems, hasn't made back too much ground, running there in 16th.
Laurent continues to race along here in P2. We'll have to keep an eye on him. I really don't think he's pitted yet, but
Al, most of these guys are turning on their pit-in lap around 2 minutes 20 seconds. He has a 2-minute flat lap here, and I'm just wondering how he got to that. I've been really pondering on it. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with him. We'll keep an eye. I have no clue.
Well, the gap
I can tell you his lap times are pretty decent.
Well, the gap between him and Eiran is now 8 seconds. As David Pohl has gotten past Esteban for 3rd. Wow. David Pohl back on form here after giving up that position to Esteban early on in this race.
Yeah, indeed. Those guys have been all over the map here tonight, and I think we're going to see more of it. Chris Moses goes for the pass on David Canavan in turn 1. And takes that position.
He's going to make it stick. See if Canavan has an answer. Driver left. Looks like Moses is going to hang on to that.
Yeah, and that Thiago, Marty Eiran, and Juan Monroy battle continues to rage as well, just in front of those two drivers. Nick Johnston also starting to make some inroads back up to that group. So finally coming to grips on those slicks. and turning some of the fastest laps out there on track at the moment, should be noted as well. Our fastest drivers on track are now turning consistent 34s.
Taking a look on the inside of Tiago. He had a great exit. Looks like he's going to make that pass stick. Going to get by Tiago for 6th.
You know, Tiago's put in a great run here tonight, Al, coming back from that 16th spot and looking pretty much dead to rights, but he's really fought back and he's minimizing that damage. You got to do that. Good action.
Ooh, as Alba. Ooh, a little big incident. Ooh, as Marty tries to turn it around, he got hit by one of the. I believe that was Solberger. Looked like one of the Jags. I think that was Alba. Went in a little too hot, caught Marty off guard, and Tiago unfortunately got into the back of Marty. But that's allowed. Nick Johnson, as Chris Moses and Canavan have an incident. Oh my God, what is going on with these guys? They need to settle down. Chris Moses now finds himself back in 10th. Stunning turn of events.
It really is, these guys yo-yoing all over the place. Sorry, Al. Chris Moses starting from that 3rd position, dropping back, coming up, dropping back. Holy smokes.
Nick Johnson has been gifted P7. That's going to help him in his championship fight. And Juan
but he's got to stay on track.
Juan Monroy now finds himself in P6. Finally gets by Marty. And is now trying to reel in Kirk.
Yeah, Marty Eiran, did we see him get caught up in that little schmozzle there, Al? Because Marty Eiran is now back into 13th.
Oh, he certainly got caught up in that. He got hit from behind by Tiago after the Jag went across his bow. And then that's when the wheels fell off.
Yeah, didn't catch that one quite in time. Boy, you know, the only one running trouble-free here tonight is Eiran Parsons. He man, stay out there. He's in the catbird seat for this going into round 4 in that championship. He's just going about his business, getting it done.
Johnson in 7th. Looks like he's finally found his pace here in that Panos as he's trying to reel in Juan Monroy, who's currently in 6th in the BMW fill-in role for Gut Douglas.
Yeah, still having some problems there is Nick running those consistent laps, but generally around the 34s. Laurent Weissman finally into the pits, but he's got someone in his stall up in front of him, Al. Waited all this time, there's a vet in his stall.
That's bad news. Michael Rashad going in for service late. Wow, what are the chances of that? That's unfortunate for Laurent.
Yeah, very short stop. I don't know if Laurent had went for some type of 2-stop strategy of some type. I don't know, but in any event, back to 14th is Laurent, and he'll charge back as best he can. Boy, somebody in your stall when you come in that late. Wow.
The lead now for Parsons is 22 seconds. David Paul settling into P2 with Palacio not too far behind, a couple seconds back of Poole. But Palacio not able to make up that ground that he was able to in that first stage. So.
Yeah, not yet anyway, but still what a solid run for Esteban, and he's battled hard tonight, and he's come out the winner of all those close battles that we saw. So nice 3rd place run for Palacio. Don't know if you caught it, Al, but Nick Johnston is quickly closing up on Juan Monroy here for that 5th position.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Kurt quietly running in 4th, and Juan and Nick now duking it out here for that 5th spot.
Well, let's see here, Al. We're working lap 28. We got about another 10 laps to play here, and Curtis Chandler sitting comfortably in that 4th spot would be his best finish of the season.
Nick having a look on the inside. Not enough, though.
I tell you, going back to Curtis Chandler, as we watch Nick Johnston and Juan Monroy go at it here, they're running in the 34s, and Curtis Chandler up ahead of them, same lap times.
Well, it must have been all that development work you put in for them while you sat in at Bathurst. Really paid dividends for them.
Yeah, that's...
Ooh, as Johnson gets into the back of Monroy, but they're both back on track.
Well, I got to think that that Panos will be able to get him down here this front straight.
And he doesn't need the straight as Monroy gets... Johnson gets by... Monroy on that last corner. Let's see if Monroy takes a look on the inside. Nope.
Well, been watching Curtis Chandler here quite a bit, and seeing how he's going to hold up here. But here's the deal. Here it is right here. Curtis is going to have to try to maintain a gap to Nick Johnston. Nick Johnston will close down on him most likely. So kind of a new deal here for Curtis.
Not so if Juan is able to keep that pressure on, but who knows? I mean, if Juan can stay on the back of Nick, that may give Kurt just enough breathing room there to hang on to that spot. It doesn't look like as Nick is starting to drive away from Juan.
Yeah, I would think so. I think Nick does have the pace on Juan Monroy and likely on Curtis Chandler as well. So we'll keep an eye on that gap too. Curtis now about 7 seconds.
As Andres Cole wants to know how many laps are left, Brad. He's yelling at you.
Well, looks like we're just now working lap 30, so we're within 10 laps of the finish.
Yeah, we got about 9 minutes and change left to go in this one, so...
So even less.
Even less. Further back, Canavan now running in P8 ahead of Tiago. Moses back up to 9th. And Marco Conti in the top 10. Mikey Monahan, haven't talked too much about Mike, but he's right outside the top 10, currently running in 11th. Marty Eiran has fallen back, well, he fell back to 13th, but has worked his way back up now to 12th. And Sol Wang, I'm not sure what happened to Sol, but he's back in 13th behind Laurent Bassman as the two Jags running nose to tail, George Alba and Laurent. However, I think George is a lap down. Meanwhile, Ian Jolicoeur has worked his way up into the points and is running 15th after a horrific first stint.
Yeah, it's been a tough slog for Ian, but he's finally on pace here in the solid 34s with these guys and limiting whatever damage he can out there. But it's going to be a tough go here for that Kung Fu Racing. Last season's team championships champions, of course, Marty Eiran and Ian Jolicoeur, both struggling.
Christian Hamilton is now in 16th, and Greg Myers trying to put that pressure on Hamilton for that last points paying position. He really needs to get into the points as that team championship fight is very close. So Greg is going to do all he can to get up into the points. Greg, unfortunately, last week made it barely a lap. I'm sorry, 2 corners before he was out of the race. So, very short night for Greg last week at Golden Point. Very unfortunate.
So I'm taking a look at timing and scoring here, Al. And Thiago Canola is putting some pressure here on David Canavan for that 7th spot, but Chris Moses is catching them both. And I think this battle is going to come together in our last 3 laps here.
As we ride on board. Ooh, as Canavan has a huge moment. Brake lock. Not sure what happened.
Right, tense moments for these guys.
And Moses takes advantage. What happened to Canavan? Canavan just... Not sure if he's having some kind of issue with the... Let's see.
Oh,
and he gets into the back of Canola. I'm not sure.
All right, championship implications here, Al.
Huge. As Canola now is falling back to 11. I'm not sure what happened there. That is... This Canavan looks like he's going to give the position back to Canola, but it's like Canavan locked up, car went sideways, and then he just suddenly slowed down. I got to think he had some issue with his wheel setup or something, but it's very unusual. But nonetheless, that hurts Canola.
Yeah, indeed. And David Canavan did hold up for him and at least give him that position back. So it'll hurt David Canavan as well. But a gentlemanly thing to do there, David. Tough luck for those guys.
Yeah, I don't think that was something Dave isn't that type of driver where he gets into the back of people, so it just leads me to believe that he had some kind of issue there.
Yeah, well, racing incidents do happen. These guys are fighting hard and coming down to the last laps, and boy, I'd be fighting as hard as I could too, and you take the good with the bad. That was the bad.
Yep, it was bad. Meanwhile, Marty now battling it out with Mikey Monahan for that 8th spot. Mikey doing an admirable job holding off Marty. Marty's on a tear.
Yeah, as they fight, Nick Johnson and Curtis Chandler have also come together. Sorry, Al.
I should mention that the track has finally gone dry. Got about 4 minutes left here in this one as Nick now closing in on Kurt as Kurt lined up for a podium position.
You know, Nick has good pace, but he doesn't have a lot of experience around here. This is a spot where he may want to consider trying to conserve some of his weight and not pick up too much weight. Nick Johnson gets past Curtis Chandler, he's going to be picking up more weight for the next event. So this could be a situation where maybe finishing 4th would be better for Nick in the long run. We'll see what he does.
He doesn't. He probably does not know the weight game that most of you guys, that a lot of guys out there know, but
yeah, and those are kind of my thoughts as well here, Al.
For those of you unfamiliar with us, positions 1 through 3 in the finishing order do take on weight for the next race. So Nick carrying weight, if he finishes where he is now, he will lose some of that. So, however, if he does get past Kurt for that 3rd spot, he will take on more weight for the next race. So there's a lot of traffic up ahead.
Yeah, the advantage typically goes to the guy behind in traffic.
Kurt with a huge slide. Ooh, as Nick these guys are side by side now.
Curtis is going to have to be careful here. I can tell you right now that he is not going to give up 1 single inch to Nick.
Absolutely not. Nick taking a look on the inside. But Kurt's got to keep his composure, and he does not. Well, he's going to come out ahead.
Exactly what I was talking about, Al. Sometimes discretion is the better part of valor here. But boy, he wants that podium.
He certainly does. And yeah, Kurt, this is rarefied air for him for the time being. But his pace this season has been very, very quick. So Kurt, the podium will be huge for his confidence.
Just looking for any quick updates, kind of toward the back here, Al. Don't really have any back there for you, so this is the battle.
About a lap or 2 left here, maybe 1 after this one.
Boy, what a night for some of these guys. Really been a battle. Oops, Simon Goodwin dives into the pits late here, Al. Could be a little fuel problem.
Kurt hanging on to that inside line. Kurt struggling with the car into that braking zone, but keeps it ahead, keeps it straight, I should say.
It's so easy to outbrake yourself here when you want to try to keep that position, but smooth counts as much as anything in these situations. Boy, Curtis is just thinking, when is that lap timer gonna run out, baby?
As Nick has a look on the inside. Ooh, it takes a little too much curb.
Chris Moses has gotten by Juan Monroy for that 5th spot. I'm telling you, he's hoping these guys really start battling and mixing it up. Better be careful not to throw it off track.
We got 1 more to go. Nick looks like he's going to have a run on Kurt into turn 1. Oh, and Nick oh, but Kurt cuts it as well. Oh, he had that rear lockup. Unbelievable.
He had the up and under there, just a little too quick there on the throttle, Al. He had the up and under. That would have been exciting.
Look for Kurt to take advantage of an opportunity when he sees it. We'll see. Meanwhile, up front, Eiran Parsons wins it. David Pohl is going to take 2nd. Hey, what happened to Esteban?
Great. I don't know, Al. I didn't catch it.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, folks, not sure what happened to Esteban, but that's allowed Kurt Nick Jet. No wonder why Kurt was running in 3rd.
I was going to mention it, but didn't want to speculate because I had no idea. So,
final corner for these 2 guys. Another podium finish for Nick, and Kurt take 4th. Chris Moses now will take 5th, as I'm sure Juan allowed Moses by. Nice job by Juan to finish 6th. And Marco Conni's going to take 7th. Unbelievable run by Marco. Mikey Monahan 8th. Out of Eiran 9th. Dave Canavan looks like he's going to take 10th. Not sure what happened to Tiago. Now Tiago's back in 11th. Looks like Candyman's going to give him the position. Well, there must have been another situation there, but that was dicey. Joe LaCour is going to take 13th. Lorette might be out of gas. Let's see if he's going to be able to roll to the finish line.
Oh, no. Well, he is the last car on the lead lap, Al, so he'll be credited with that position, even if he doesn't make it.
He's getting there.
Hey,
and he made it. Yep, good job, Laurent.
Wow. Well, a couple standouts this race. Eiran Parsons, just the coolest guy out there, taking the lead and getting it done. Chris Moses having huge battles, coming all the way back up to 5th. Curtis Chandler, nice run to 4th. Great job from those guys.
Yep, tremendous. And as you said, Eiran Parsons with the win here tonight. Pole takes 2nd. Nick Johnson with his 3rd consecutive 3rd place. All of these guys going to make up points on Canola, who finishes back in.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, indeed. Eiran Parsons will come out of this round with the championship lead, and Tiago will give up some points. So, but we know Tiago, he'll get rid of some of that weight this race, and he'll be back strong next week, no question.
Well, thank you everybody who tuned in here tonight. Really appreciate it, and we'll be back Thursday for GT1 from Silverstone, as Jack Ivey will bring you all the action from that race. So thanks again everybody, all you guys who tuned in tonight, really appreciate it. And thank you, Brad, for helping out once again.
Yeah, thank you. I'll look forward to that Thursday. Should be another barn burner there at Silverstone. Great track.
Yeah, and next week, just to remind everybody, we'll be live from Kyalami, South Africa.
Ooh, nice track.
Yeah, and it's a night race, so that should be even more interesting. So, great track, and hopefully all you guys will join us then. So, until next time, Al Merriman and Brad Maris thanking you, and I'll see you next week.